Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Truth Hurts podcast, a podcast where we believe in standing up for your constitutional rights, freedom of speech, and telling the truth, even if it hurts. I'm your host, Malibu Dallas. What do you say we get this party started? Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Truth Hurts podcast. I'm your host, Malibu Dallas, and if you're tuning in tonight, we got a heck of a show for you tonight. We have a very special guest on the show by the name of Brook Bennett. Okay, she is on TikTok. I've been following her for a really long time, and she's an amazing woman. She's an amazing mother. She's an amazing parent, and I cannot wait for you guys to hear her story. But before we get to that, I wanted to talk to you guys about a video that I made today. This video is talking. Whoop, camera. Wait, hold on. There you go. The video is talking about the corruption within inside of our legal system and what's called an oath of office. It's a big scam revolved around the oath of office that judges, police officers, your local DA, your governor, your mayor, anybody who is required to take an oath of office. There's a lot of controversy around this. Okay, when you take an oath of office, you take an oath to the Constitution. You take an oath to uphold the Constitution. And that says a lot when you take that oath, but I don't think a lot of these people are taking it very seriously anymore. And I want to play you guys a video that I made. I posted it on TikTok. I got it on my Instagram. My TikTok and Instagram are the same thing as you can see across the bottom of the screen here. You can go subscribe to those channels if you're not already, and you can take a look at it. I'm going to play it for you. I'm going to play it for you now, just so you get a good idea of what I'm talking about. By a show of hands, how many of you know what an oath of office is? By a show of hands, how many of you would love to learn how to impeach anybody with an oath of office? So yes, that would include police officers, judges, clerk of court, the mayor, the governor, the DA, anybody who's required to take an oath of office. You see, all of them are operating under fraud, and I'm going to teach you why. The first steps in this process is knowing what these statutes are. We're going to teach you that right now. The first U.S. code is Title 5, U.S. Code, subsection 3331. Title 5 U.S. Code subsection 3331 is the actual oath of office. An individual except the president, elect or appointed to an office of honor or profit in the civil service or uniformed service shall take the following oath. I, A.B., state your name, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter. So help me God. Now I'm going to show you an oath of office that a judge took in Tarrant County, Texas, and I want you to see the difference. There are subtle differences, but if you look at them, it's a massive difference. State of Texas in Tarrant County, we are an oath of office out of Texas. All right. I, David Evans, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of presiding judge, 8th Administrative Judicial Region, State of Texas, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God. It doesn't say the same thing, does it? Furthermore, whoever notarized this document is now committing fraud as well, because this oath of office does not match the United States Code oath of office. This is all fraud. Okay, let's go to Title 18 U.S. Code, subsection 912. Whoever falsely assumes or pretends to be an officer or employee acting under the authority of the United States or any department, agency, or officer thereof, and acts as such or in such pretending character, demands or obtains any money, paper, documents, or things of value, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both. You guys, judges and police officers are operating under the color of law under fraud. It's not a valid oath of office. You put them on the stand in court and you annihilate them. You discredit their whole entire oath of office and they have to impeach them. There you go. Have a good day. All right, guys. So that's the oath of office. Okay. And this is what I'm talking about. When you take an oath of office to uphold the Constitution and protect, supposedly, we the people's rights. And it's been, I don't know, over the last, 10, 15 years or so, maybe even longer. It's gotten really bad over the last 5 years. But judges in family court specifically, you would be very hard pressed to go anywhere in the country into a family court, into a civil court, and find a judge that's not corrupt. Okay. And we're dealing with CPS. We're talking about Child Protective Services. We're talking about police officers and judges and magistrates. They're all in one big racketeering big scheme. And this is what I want to expose. I want to expose this. So look, if you take a look at this, impeach anyone with an oath of office. I literally put together a PDF on exactly how to do it. Okay. If you look at the top there, it has Title 5 U.S. Code, subsection 3331, oath of office. This is the legitimate oath of office. This is the oath of office that is supposed to be taken. Now you need to go Title 18 U.S. Code, subsection 912. These are the penalties for pretending to be someone who's working under the color of law. If you're pretending to be a police officer, there's penalties for that, right? So here's an actual script for you. And then I show you example of the actual action. So obviously it's been notarized. This oath of office has been notarized, and this has been now a legal document. So whoever took this oath has just committed fraud, and whoever notarized this has just committed fraud. So if you want that document, if you want that PDF on how to basically expose and impeach anybody, send me an email, okay? I'll send you my email right now. It's going to be flying right there, right on the screen. And I'll leave that up there for a second. You guys can copy that. But I love education. I love knowledge. Knowledge is power, you guys. I really, truly believe that. And that's why I'm doing everything that I'm doing with my social media account, is to empower parents and to get you guys to understand how powerful you truly are. Because knowledge is power. If you know your constitutional rights, if you know your Bill of Rights, and you stand on them with authority, there's truly nothing stopping you from winning 90% of all these cases going to CPS court. You are truly more powerful representing yourself in court than you would be with a paid attorney or a court-appointed attorney. Speaking of attorneys, watch this. I'm going to put it up on the screen here. Every single attorney, when they graduate law school, they are mandated to take an oath, much like the oath of office, but it's slightly different. This oath of office is taken and it's mandated, and it's pretty disgusting in my opinion. A lot of people tell me I should become a lawyer, but there's a reason why I won't become a lawyer, because I would never in a million years take this oath of office. Let me show it to you. Right here, it's even in what is called, let's see, hold on a second. This is called the Juris Secundum, Corpus Juris Secundum, Encyclopedia, Legal Encyclopedia, Volume 7, Section 4. Right here in the highlighted area, you're going to see where it says attorney and clients. His first duty is to the courts and to the public, not the client. Whatever is more beneficial for the courts, whatever is going to benefit the courts in the state, is required to be protected before the client. This is why I tell you, you guys, we the people are far, far more powerful representing ourselves in court than relying on a attorney. Why? Because they don't have your best interest in heart. 9 out of 10 attorneys are going to be nothing but scam artists. They're just going to take your money, sit on your case until the day of court and tell you, oh, well, we tried to do this. We tried to do that. And it just didn't work. I don't think this is going to work on your case. I don't think we should do this at this time, blah, blah, blah. It's all bullshit. You are far more valuable and far more powerful representing yourself in court. I'm just going to leave it at that. Email me if you want that proof. Okay. I'm going to show you a video. This is a cute video. This is such a cute video. This little boy is so cute. When I first saw this video, as I always do, I get choked up a little bit when I see these kind of videos, but I did a re-edit of her video. Brooke sent me a video. I'd edited it a little bit, but not too much. But it's cute. It's really, really cute. Let me show you this video real quick. You're gonna love this little kid.
Get him! Get the big weaves! You got him! Get him!
A mother is a son's first true love.
Ready? Here we go. Here we go.
You guys, that's Jaxon. It's just, that kid is so cute. This is what we're talking about this evening. We're talking about Brook Bennett fighting for her little boy. Her story is tragic. Her story is like most of your guys's, and it breaks my heart. Like you guys know that I was a victim of child trafficking myself. I was in foster care. I suffered through the hands of foster care through CPS from the age of 7 to the age of 15. So these kind of stories really do touch me. And it's really hard for me to get through a lot of them because when we talk about a lot of them, it reminds me about a lot of my childhood. But I got to push past that because I believe what we're doing is very, very powerful. And I know all of you parents do too. And that's why I'm inviting a lot of you parents to come onto the podcast and tell your story. So without further ado, you guys, let me introduce you to Brook Bennett. Brook, how are you doing today?
Good considering. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of a weird question to ask of how you're doing.
Right. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I thank you for coming on the show. And we are going to listen to your story. We're gonna listen to what's going on in your story. I want you to tell the trials and tribulations that you've gone through, and where you're at with the case now, and what we could do to help.
Okay. It actually all started back in 2018. And actually, I have an older daughter, and she goes to her dad's during the summer. per our agreement, divorce agreement. And there had been stuff going down over at her dad's, and I was not aware of any of the stuff going on. Kind of reversed it a little bit. I got evicted, became homeless. I'd been going through a little bit of stuff myself, dealing with, I was engaged, had a fiance, found out he had been cheating on me. I kind of had to take a step back from life just in that aspect and try to re-gear myself, because I was planning on getting married, and he had a child, and she, was my daughter too, and which actually turns out to be Jackson's father. So I had become homeless, gearing up to restart life and have a different approach on it and stuff. Brielle, my daughter, was at her dad's. All of a sudden I get a call one day that the social worker was over there and took my daughter and put her into foster care with my mother. At this time, I had not talked to my family in over 7 years.
Wow.
I do not believe that CPS needs to be abolished at all, because I believe that I was a child that definitely needed their services, and they were called several times growing up on my family. I was severely abused emotionally and mentally, hence the reason why, I once I was 18, I got out of there. Actually, I got out of there when I was 17. I wanted to get away from the severe emotional abuse and the physical abuse. So they had taken my daughter from her dad and never contacted me beforehand. They gave her to my family, which I was estranged from. We had an EPC hearing. Right before the EPC hearing, I found out that I was pregnant with my son. That changed the whole totality of things. It went from the case being a focus on my daughter to the case was focused completely on my son. Like, it was horrible. I don't wish this upon anybody. There definitely needs to be a reform in the way they do their processes. In Minnesota, it is completely legal for the person that comes out to do the investigation not to have a social worker's license. They don't need to be licensed. It can be anybody, which I don't agree with. That's one of the things that I'm going to be trying to make a change in, and as far as our state's laws and stuff.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, is because when we talk about licensing with social workers, the thing is if they're not licensed, see, the thing about it is they're operating under the color of law.
Yep.
They have a state contract. When somebody works for a state agency, they should be licensed because they truly are operating under the color of law. Now, if someone's not licensed to do what they're doing, the caseworker literally has no legal authority to even bring suggestions or referrals or whatever it might be to the court.
I don't
they don't have that authority, right?
Right.
But here's a kicker, is to your point, is that if nobody in that facility is licensed, if nobody in that entire agency is licensed, they are committing fraud upon the federal government, because they're receiving federal funding from Title IV funding from the Social Security Administration. If they're committing fraud upon the federal government, then that whole entire agency needs to be shut down, and it will be shut down.
Correct.
So yes, they do need to be licensed. I highly believe every single one of them needs to be
there's
licensed.
a reason why they have a license, it could be they're brought into school, they're shown, difference between poverty and neglect. People of different ethnics, different backgrounds, they live differently than us, and that's okay. That should be okay. And I don't believe somebody off the street can be that informed and, as far as educated to what the pros and cons, or the good and the bad is, just off of their general knowledge of somebody. They need to be educated and licensed. So the worker in my case that had taken her was not licensed, which I found out later that it is okay in Minnesota. Anyways, they found out that I was pregnant, and that just started a whole new new thing. It didn't really focus on Brielle a whole lot, my older daughter, a whole lot anymore. It was basically on my newborn baby. The allegations and stuff against her father were about drugs. So that totally shifted into my aspect, even though we haven't been married for, at that time, it was, I think, 15 years. He was already remarried, had another wife and kids. And like, I didn't really associate with him at all, except for our child, you know, and everything that the case was opened up on him, just it automatically shifted over to me. So I was required to do UAs, and I had to go get a chemical evaluation and all kinds of hoops that I had to jump. And it's funny, I came up, as I was telling the social worker on the first UA that I was pregnant, it came up that I was positive. I know for a fact that I was not positive. I swear my tests were tampered with.
So let me ask you something. When you took your test, where did you take it at? In
the city parking or park, their bathrooms, because we were gonna have our first visit. I got my first visit with my daughter since they took her, so it was in the park's bathrooms by the social worker.
You know that drug test was illegal.
I just seen your video a little while ago about that.
Yep. Anytime a CPS agent requires or requests you to do a drug test, either in your home, out in a parking lot, or anywhere else, that a CPS agent is not a state licensed drug tester.
I wish I would have known that way sooner. Like, so there's a lot of your videos I duet on Facebook, so everybody can get educated on this kind of stuff, because I wish I would have known that, because that's all my tests were.
A lot of people, I get a lot of that comment about, I wish you were around 5 years ago. I wish I would have known this 10 years ago, you know, and it breaks my heart. It really does, because this information has always been there. It's just that nobody has really been broadcasting it on a nationwide basis. Only in the last couple of years have we started doing that.
When I start trying to broadcast my story and stuff on TikTok, it gets shut down. I'm so thankful for this platform that we can sit here and have this conversation, because it won't happen on TikTok.
And you're in Wisconsin, right?
Minnesota.
Okay. So what's going on with
moving ahead. So I jumped all their hoops. I ended up going into labor 2 months early. They had gone to my daughter's school, and she called me hysterical at about 8:30 in the morning. I could hardly understand her. She was crying and screaming about how they came to school and told her that they were coming to terminate my rights on her. And pissed off mama bear, I flipped out. Like, they had never said anything to me about this. It was not even any discussion, but they went there purposely to get her worked up. I feel that she called me and got me so worked up that I went into labor early, because this whole entire time they are dead set that I'm doing drugs, and I'm, you know, even though I was passing UAs after that first one. And so I think they wanted me to go into labor early so they could catch me on a spoof, you know, because you can test the placenta, you can test the melancholy or whatever. They gave me a UA right when I walked in there, and everything passed. I was clean, the baby was clean, the placenta was clean. 2 days after I had an emergency C-section because he was breech. So he came out healthy. They put a breather tube in him just as a precaution. Mind you, he's two months early. And 2 days after being in the hospital, I had drove out to another state to have him, because somebody had told me on one of these sites that if I had a kid that was in their care, that they would take my baby. So I figured going to South Dakota would be sufficient, and that's all the further I could drive myself in labor. But I got there, and 2 days later they came in, a bunch of cops and social worker. They handed me a piece of paper. They put an ankle bracelet on my baby, and they literally, like, almost physically threw me out of the hospital. I was allowed to see my son 2 times a week for an hour. I was breastfeeding him the first 2 days.
Any warrant or court order or anything like that?
That first case, I was not educated as I am now. I They gave me paperwork, but I guess I didn't really look at it that close. I just, everybody trusts whatever the social workers say because social workers are,
Yeah, and
supposed to
that's the
be good.
last thing you need to do.
Yep. I learned
It,
that one the hard way.
yeah, I hate to see people learn the hard way, but you literally cannot
Not
trust
a
a
word they
word
say.
CPS says. They will pretend to be or your friend. They will pretend like they're just there. Listen, for future reference, not just to you, Brooke, but for everybody watching, if you are dealing with CPS agent and you hear them come in and they say this phrase, you need to start putting up your antennas and your red flags going off, and you should be on the high alert. I'm just here to ask a couple of questions. I just want to see, it's just my job. I'm just here to ask a couple of questions and I don't see anything wrong. We'll be closing out the case. Okay. I'm just here to do my job. No.
You say nothing. I've learned. I've had 3 cases.
You literally cannot trust a word CPS says. You've got to be on high alert, and if they claim to do something, you've got to get it in writing. You always
your
record.
Words.
Yep. We have these phones for a reason. You always record every single interaction with CPS because, like she said, they will twist and manipulate and falsify everything.
Yep. So I ended up my daughter ended up begging me. She's like, Mom, please, I just want to come home. Just get the case. Cause I was starting to fight them. I was like, wait a minute, you guys are doing some crazy stuff here. Like, I'm not this person you're making me out to be. I just had a kid. You guys are worried about me having postpartum depression, but yet you take away my baby. No, like I was starting to fight them, but my daughter's like, no, Mom, I want to come home. I want to come home. So I jumped through hoops, got the case closed. I think it was February or March of 2020, right? Yeah, he was born in 2019 of September. So I got him home. I had a job. I was working. I got a house. We were all settled in. Everything was going great. And then the pandemic hit. So here we're on case number 2. My daughter, they had shut the schools down. My daughter, she had learning disabilities. So in school, she was in IEP and had extra help and stuff. Well, when they shut down the schools and then the pandemic and stuff, that stuff wasn't readily available. Nobody came to our house to help her.
So if you're, Brooke, if your daughter is disabled, and you guys, so here's a really cool piece of tidbit for you. Everybody who's watching, it does not matter if you're receiving Social Security checks, disability checks, it does not matter. You can literally invoke the American Disability Act. Okay? It's right here on the screen. The American Disability Act. Okay? You have no idea how powerful that is when it comes to fighting a CPS case, and I'm going to tell you why. CPS's very actions, the actions that they take upon every single case, are directly involved in creating the disability. Intentional emotional distress, PTSD, you name it, they develop it, and their actions are creating that disability. So you can literally invoke the American Disability Act in your case. And trust me, hands down, lawyers, CPS agents, prosecutors, they hate it. They hate it because they know how powerful it truly is. Just remember that.
I definitely need to look into that. So, she was struggling with doing the online. That definitely was not a learning process for her. It was her senior year. She would shut her camera off. During this whole time, she was having issues with readjusting coming back to live with me. We were having issues because they had put all this stuff in her head about what Mom was and that she was depressed her whole life and she had a horrible childhood, and she believed them, and she came back, and her and I butted heads really bad. It never was entirely the same as it was before. Before they took her from me and before she had went to her dad's, her and I were like super close. Like we were all we had, and I had raised her from the time she was a baby she'd go every other weekend to her dad's house, but otherwise I was her sole giver, and we had an awesome relationship, and she had such a good head on her shoulders. She still does to this day. I'm very, very, very proud of her. But so she was struggling with that and shutting off her camera, and one teacher did not like her. She would count her absent, so she ended up getting truancy. And right away they called up family services, and they opened another case. The kids thankfully at that time got to stay with me. It was during the pandemic and stuff. So we hurried up. I got her re-enrolled in a different school. We tried a couple different paths, and we got her graduated. So that was the end of the case. They said if she graduated, it'd be closed, and if she didn't, then they'd continue. But we got it closed, thank God. So meanwhile, I lose my job. I worked at a bar. I cleaned during the morning hours before they opened. While the bar wasn't open, so there was no need for me to go in and clean. I lost my job. We got all those pandemic checks and stuff, and getting your unemployment through that stuff took me at least 3 months before I received my first check. I tell you what, the bills does not stop during them 3 months while unemployment's trying to sort out who gets unemployment and stuff. Bills were stacking up. My electricity got shut off twice, not for a day or so. I did jump hoops what I could to get it turned back on. Meanwhile, me and my daughter are butting heads. I enrolled my son into daycare. He went like once or twice a week for just an hour, just to get him integrated into having interaction with other kids. I was trying to plan ahead for when I got a job. I ended up finding my dream job, which was awesome. The puppy, would you quit? The local car dealership hired me. I don't have any schooling or anything like that on mechanics, but it's something that I've done since I was like knee-high to a cricket. They hired me. I was very thankful. Meanwhile, my son is a redhead. I don't know if you've seen the pictures, you could tell, but he's a redhead. They have very, very, very sensitive skin. The wintertime, his cheeks would get really rosy. Every winter. That's just how. And I asked his grandma.
Sounds like that dog is tearing a hole through your wall or something.
No.
What
No, she's chewing on a milk jug. It's the cheapest toys that are the best that she loves. You know, I just crumpled up a milk jug and let her chew on it. Hey, Star, come here.
So, looking at this question here, can you invoke a disability act in your case if you're an adult that had an IEP throughout their school year and currently have a child placed in foster care? Yes, you can. You absolutely can. You can invoke the American Disability Act at any point in your case. It's better to do it in the beginning, but if you're unaware of that, then yeah, you can absolutely do it. Then what I'm telling you is that lawyers, if you have a court-appointed attorney specifically, they'll probably ask to be transferred off your case to conflict of interest, blah blah blah, because what you're doing is you're basically taking the power away from the attorney. You're taking the power away from the court-appointed attorney, because the court-appointed attorney, his first sworn oath and duty is to the court and the state. He works directly for the court and the state. So if you invoke the American Disability Act, you now have the opportunity to go to your state's medical board and request an American Disability Act lawyer on your case. So that's how you get around that. So sorry to interrupt you, Brooke.
No, you're fine. My dog she's settled now. She's like a toddler herself.
So yeah, I hope that answered your question.
I definitely need to look into that American with Disability, because I still, to this day, am dealing with repercussions of the whole CPS case. So fast forward, we got that one closed. I had just got approved for a house loan, my first mortgage, my home loan, plus a car loan. I had an awesome paying job. I was just getting my son integrated into full-time into his daycare. He came down with a diaper rash. Now I believe holistically, medically, like natural cures and stuff before medicine and prescriptions and vaccines and all this stuff. So that's just personally how I believe, and I believe very strongly in it.
A lot of people, millions of people all over the country do.
Yeah, family services does not like that. I was trying to use essential oils mixed up different concoctions. A little bit of something would work, and a little bit of it something else wouldn't. So it was just finding the perfect match. And it had been about a month. He still had a diaper rash. It wasn't severe enough to where I should have brought him into the doctor yet. Meanwhile, my mom and my daughter, I didn't realize, and my sister, who is a social worker herself in the next county over, they had gotten into my daughter's head. She was taking medication that was making her almost zombie-like, lethargic in a sense. And my mom knew that her and I weren't getting along, and she got into her head because during the first case, after the first case, my mother gave me the paperwork from her side of things from Family Services. She was making $697 a week per child. $697 per week per child.
When was this? What year?
The first case, when they first took they took Jaxon and Bree from the hospital. Yeah.
So check this out. So that's what they're paying the foster families, or that's what they're paying out. So,
yep.
But check this out. Each agency is going to get from the federal government anywhere between $8,000 and $12,000 a month per child from the Social Security Administration through Title IV funding. So when you got $8,000 to $12,000 a month coming in per child, this is why they're so insanely gung-ho about removing children from homes. It's because it's all based around financial issues. It's based around money, right?
Yep.
Whatever
my mother's never worked a day in her life either.
Whatever we can fabricate to make, to fit our agenda, we're going to take that opportunity, even if we have to fabricate documentation and falsify reports in court. It doesn't matter, because all of these family court issues run on hearsay, right? It's allowed. Hearsay is allowed, which is completely BS. So we got to get rid of all that. So why are they only paying? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Why?
I couldn't get them to help me with a deposit for my electric, for to my my damage deposit. They wouldn't help me with any of that.
So,
but yet they were giving my mother.
The parents who need help, like you, Brooke, this is so insane. The parents that need help with financial issues, they're not willing to help you financially, but they will go ahead and help a stranger who they might or might not do a background check on, stick your child with them, and then give them $800 to $1,300 a month. Why?
Yep.
Why? It makes no sense.
Sets up the game change for like my third case. So my mother, she's never in her entire life held a full-time job for more than maybe six to 8 months. So they ended up losing their place and were living in my brother's basement for 8 months. And then all of a sudden they got a house, and I kind of thought it was odd because she wasn't working and my stepdad was in between jobs here and there. And all of a sudden they got a house, and then it wasn't, but like a couple weeks after that, all of a sudden here comes CPS. 2 weeks before they took him, I had a cop come do a child welfare check at 10:30 at night. They came to the door and they wanted to see my child. Jaxon, he had I was told by his family physician that he had one leg that was longer than the other one. It's like 85% of Americans have this, it's just a little bit shorter than the other one.
Yeah.
We actually had set up an appointment to make sure that it wasn't anything bigger, with a specialist. And that was like in a couple of weeks, we had that appointment coming up. Well, my mom had watched him that day because that was one of the days that my electricity had gotten shut off, and I had to run around and go fill out all kinds of paperwork and stuff to get help from UCAP and such forth. And 10:30 at night, when I got him back and electricity on, and he was in bed at like 8 o'clock, here comes the cops at 10:30 at night, and they're like, "We need to see your child." And I was like, "He's been sleeping since 8 o'clock. You really need to see him at 10:30 at night?" And they're like, "Yes, we need to see him. We're not leaving until we do." So I went and got him out of bed.
And you're saying that was on a welfare check?
Yeah, child welfare check that got called in by somebody. They never really told me why, but just it was a child welfare check. So I went and grabbed him out of bed, and we came out into my kitchen where they were standing, and the guy's like, "How old is he?" And I said, "Well, he was 2.5 at that time." And he goes, "Can he walk?" And I looked at him and I'm like, "He's 2.5. Of course he can walk, So he's like, well, I need to see him walk. And my daughter's standing there too this whole time. And so I set him down, and that little bugger, once you know it, he took off through the kitchen, went right back straight to his room and crawled right back in bed. He was tired. It was 10:30 at night,
Right.
Well, when he's running away, you can see that he hobbles a little bit, like in any other person's eyes that just had seen him, they would say that he gimped.
Right.
My daughter is watching the cop's reaction, and she goes, we have he's got one leg that's shorter than, she explained the whole situation. And I said, yeah, we have an appointment in 2 weeks with a specialist, a specialist to get it checked out. And right as I seen the light bulb go off on top of the cop's head, mine kind of came on. My mother had called it in to make it look like I was beating my child, that he would gimp, that's what she wanted the police to believe. And I looked at the cop and I go, isn't your family supposed to be on your side and supporting you instead of against you? And he looked at me and his eyes were just like the size of $50. He's like, yeah, he's like, there's nothing more to see here. Our report is closed. And they turned around and walked away. Well, 2 weeks later, I've been getting called in ever since February of that year. This turns out to be December 2nd. They took him of 2021. 2 weeks later on the 2nd, they came to my door. It was actually that same cop, which really floors me. And she's not a social worker. I'm not going to call her that, even though that's what she signs the papers as. This lady came. They never even stepped foot in my house. I did not allow them in my house. I went outside with my son and let him run around and play in the backyard while they were telling me all these accusations and such. And there was no warrant. There was no order from the court. There was just the cop there. And they all lied in their reports, like the cop said that my house was filthy and blah, 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 blah. They never even came in my house, for one. And two, the social worker said there's reports of drugs again. Even though I had been through the first case and I've been peeing for these guys for like 5 years. I'm about ready to sell them my urine. Like it should be like a hot commodity to them. So, and she said in her paperwork too, that my eyes were, my pupils were
it just sounds
really
like
large.
all of it. So it just sounds like a lot of falsified statements.
And, one after another.
So, yeah. So let me ask you something. Where's your case at now?
My daughter, she is 20, so she is well on her way in life. She has her own apartment. She lives about an hour from me. I go and visit her frequently. Our bond has gotten extremely better. It's amazing. She finally got away from this situation and out on her own, and she realizes what all took place. And I know she feels horrible for it. She has been allowed to see her brother once. My family, since knowing that she is talking to me again, have completely they don't want nothing to do with her. She's supposed to go to family services to see her brother, which is hard for her. She has a full-time job. I'm very proud of her. She works at Walmart overnights. And my son lives 6 blocks from me, actually. My rights were terminated in July of 2023 or 2022 to him. I fought like hell. I tried firing my attorney 3 times. They held the first court hearing on the third case without me. They did not give me any notification. They had a court hearing. The judge even said in the order that I was not properly served notice of the hearing, but yet she still had it. And then they hired an attorney for me during that hearing, which I never to this day have signed paperwork for. An attorney which tried getting me to sign a blank piece of paper that he was going to hold on to until I said it was okay. To give to the family services. I kind of was insulted that he thought that I was that dumb.
So Brooke, let me ask you something. What's going on with the case now? Like where are you at now?
The dad in the case has filed, I had filed an appeal after my termination. I got a public defender for that, and she went behind my back and voluntarily dismissed my appeal without my knowledge or my consent. So there was nothing. I tried going to the Court of Appeals. They wouldn't talk to me because they said I had an attorney.
So let me ask you something. There's a website. It's for a federal complaint center. It's through one of the.
I filed a complaint. I filed it still in the making. I just checked on it the other day. They said they're still. I went to the office of directors or something.
So you talking about the U.S. courts, the one that I've been promoting lately, the one where it's literally one of the only.
It was not
courts.
that one. It was the board of.
See this website right here that I got on my
Yep.
screen?
I wrote that
So-
down in the last
Yeah,
video
so
you had.
I would highly recommend anybody who's having a lot of trouble inside of their case to go to this website and file a federal complaint. Okay, it's through a court, literally one of the only courts that operate on a constitutional basis. Okay, most people, you think your family courts and your criminal courts, you think they run on constitutional and common law? They don't. There's only 2 courts in the United States that actually operate on constitutional law. This is one of them.
And then in my third case, they forged my signature, which they wrote down in paperwork. I have it in black and white that they forged my name on the Title IV documents because I wouldn't sign them. I still, to this day, have not signed any papers for them. So that, I mean, that's unconstitutional. That's a felony, I think you said.
Yeah, it's a felony
them
forgery.
forging my
Felony
name.
forgery. Yeah.
Yep. They were mad in the third case because by the third case, I wised up. I had it all in emails. I would never, ever, ever speak to them over the telephone. I told them my phone was broke.
So how
were
can
great.
our viewers, Brooke, how can our viewers help you? How can we help your case in regards to breaking out awareness? You know, we're people are going to be following you on TikTok. Her TikTok right there, guys, is going across the screen. Follow her on TikTok, you guys, if you can, and help her spread the word.
Yep, I do duet a lot of Dallas's videos. He's very informational, and I know I can trust anything that he says. I try not to ever post anything that I don't feel is, legit. I also have a page on Facebook, Bring Jaxon Home. I post a lot of information, things that I think would help me in my case, or I think that can help anybody else in their case. I don't wish this upon I don't even wish this upon the social workers that took my child. Like, this is the worst feeling, to have a child that's living 6 blocks from me that I can never see again. He hasn't been adopted yet. They're waiting on that because the dad filed an appeal too, and it's in the Supreme Court right now. They're waiting on another case to see if it's the same sort of deal before they proceed with it on the appeal in the Supreme Court. So I got a couple tricks up my sleeve that I want to try. It's just the process of getting them done, and everything's expensive, and
Right.
knowing the right people to get it done and help you get it done, and it's tough. And then
All right.
in the meantime, you got this trauma that you deal with every day. It's horrible.
I'm sorry that you're going
Getting
through
out
that,
of
Brooke.
bed every morning. It's bad.
All right, guys, what we're going to do is I want to show you guys a video. It's of I went and saw this movie the other day. If you haven't seen this movie, I highly suggest you go see it. It's insanely powerful. Let me see here. We'll be right back. So I'm gonna show you this video real quick, you guys. If you haven't seen Sound of Freedom, go see it. It is the most profound video that I have seen in many, many years. This is specifically because I have a very profound connection with it.
It is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen. It has already passed the illegal arms trade, and soon it's gonna pass the drug trade. Because you can sell a bag of cocaine one time to a child 5 to 10 times a day. God's children are not for sale.
How long you been doing this?
12 years now?
How many pedophiles you got?
288.
How many kids you found?
Timoteo, por rescatar niños, ¿verdad? ¿Puedes ayudarme a encontrar a mi hermana?
Te lo prometo.
For Homeland Security, you know we can't go off rescuing Honduran kids in Colombia.
Which means she'll disappear for good. Imagine walking into her room right now, seeing an empty bed. What we do?
You quit your job and you go and rescue those kids. So at this moment, she could be a block down the road, or she could be in Moscow, Bangkok, LA. She's a major operator.
It's all rebel territory. No one goes in. Not the army, not the police, not us.
What if this was your daughter?
There's no Marine unit coming.
You're on your own.
This job tears you to pieces. And this is my one chance to put those pieces back together.
When God tells you what to do, you cannot hesitate.
You guys, that movie is insanely powerful. I cried in that movie. Okay, that movie it killed me for like 2 days. It took me a lot to get past that emotion. If you haven't seen that movie, I highly suggest you go see it. Have you seen that movie yet, Brooke?
No, I haven't.
You haven't seen that movie? I would suggest you go see it. Everybody needs to see it, and if I can get past it, then a lot of people could get past it. But I highly suggest you go see it. Brooke, thanks for coming on the show. I'm going to put your TikTok back here on the screen. Everybody, I want you guys to go follow Brooke. Her story is truly amazing.
I will keep fighting until my last breath for that little boy.
Well, we pray for you. I pray for you.
Appreciate it.
And
I
I
definitely
hope
need
everybody
it.
else is praying for her.
Thank you. Thank you for all you do. You're awesome and amazing. You've helped so many you don't even know. We appreciate you.
I appreciate that. I wish I can do more.
Yeah.
I really do.
I
I
wish so
wish.
much we got to just keep fighting. We got to stick together. We all need to stick together regardless of race, gender, they're trying to divide us, and there's strength in numbers. We all need to unite.
I agree.
So,
And the only way that we're going to be able to do that is through knowledge.
yep,
Knowledge is power.
Most
And
definitely.
one of my biggest goals is to travel around the country, implementing training programs for parents to truly show them the power that they hold is incredible.
Yep.
And
need to
parents
know
need
your
to get
rights.
over that fear. People need to get over that emotion, like they're helpless, because they're not. They just don't have the knowledge, and they don't have the platform to learn that. You know, if you think about it, in every single state we have drug and alcohol classes, we have anger management classes, we have parenting classes. Oh, if you have road rage, we have driving classes.
Right.
All of these classes upon classes upon classes. But what we don't have is classes for parents to understand and utilize their constitutional rights.
Yep.
I want to
If I
change
had
that.
if I had any advice, it would be, for going through hindsight's 2020, it would be, for the first 60 days, you do not have to tell them nothing. You do not have to prove you're innocent. They are there for the first 60 days to try to prove their allegations. You do not have to say a word to them. You do not have to sign nothing. You don't have to do nothing. They're trying to prove that you are what they say you are, or the allegations are true. Don't say nothing, and record everything. Keep documentation, hard facts, and documentate everything. Them are my words of wisdom out of all this.
100%. So everybody, thanks you guys for watching the show today.
Appreciate
we truly appreciate you being here, Brooke, and telling your story. I know it was hard for you.
Yes.
But you're in our prayers. You really are.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
So hopefully this will get your story out there, get some people to help. Go follow her on TikTok, everybody, if you have a TikTok. And just remember, if you need any kind of help, if you need a consultation or any information, if you want some of the PDFs that I presented in the show today, shoot me an email. Okay, my email's right on the screen. If you want to follow me here on TikTok and on Instagram and TikTok is scrolling across the screen now. If you need help in regards to if you want a consultation or something like that, go to this website right here, stanstore/Truth Hurts. Set up a consultation. You know, you can set it up on the day and the time that you need.
Well worth it.
So, you guys, thank you for supporting the show here. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. And we will talk to you guys later. Brooke, I hope you have a good evening.
Dallas. Much love.
All right. Thanks for coming on the show, sweetie.
Yep. Bye.
Oh, everybody, thanks for watching the show. And I hope to see you guys next time. We're going to do another one maybe Friday or Saturday next week. I'll see you there. Have a good day. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Truth Hurts podcast, a podcast where we believe in standing up for your constitutional rights, freedom of speech, and telling the truth, even if it hurts.